Sam, if you look at the history of such outfits, whether those that have happened in Mexico, whether it's in America or wherever, and normally the followers of such groups will be victims of first a religious narrative. You'll find many of them are people who have reached a dead end, who are looking for an exit strategy. And very unfortunately, this is what happens. What surprises me, though, is I've constantly believed that our National Intelligence Service is quite a strong outfit. And it's a team that very rarely that does something pass through their fingers.
Right.
I think this time around, somebody really has to make an explanation. Has to give Kenyans an explanation what happened and why it did happen. Also, the last point I wanted to raise is, you know, we Kenyans are very funny. When somebody discusses a matter that looks or sounds controversial, or which is outside the box, Kenyans are the first to jump up and want to lynch that person without even deeply looking at and listening to what that person is saying.
Right.
You remember this issue of regulation of church was brought by Honorable Madam Ida Odinga. And that time, I remember so many people were screaming at her, so many people were insulting her. The reality is our church leaves a lot to be desired. Our church must be interrogated, because at this rate, then we are going to end up somewhere. The only thing I know that we politicians do very well is that we are always very sly in not coming out and facing the church, even when we know that there could be critical issues. And the reason for that purely is because of our political survival. All right, if you look at the church that was there in Dr. Nyikal, 1980s, 90s, or even before that, the likes of Bishop Mwananzeki, Cardinal Tunga, you had the SEK Bishop Kuria. These were substantive people. These were people who, even when we were constantly having our political challenges, they knew when to come in, they knew when to engage the political class, and they understood what to do. But you see what has happened is, with this issue known as prosperity religion, where people are being told, I mean, you saw some of the stories out of this story, is how some of these parishioners sold their properties, how some of them stopped going to their jobs. And the other thing that I've also watched and observed, and I hope that we are going to do something about it, I don't think that in Kenya, the DCI or the police have taken the issue of missing persons very, very seriously. I don't think we have a record. If today you were to ask how many people do you think have been classified under the missing persons category? So in Kenya, it looks like when people miss and a report is put out there maybe to the local police station, after that nobody is interested. And I think for me, this is something that is very important. So that, because if you can have a record, and you've been seeing even on TV, people are coming now and they're saying, oh, you know, our relatives have died, some of them are missing, and the police is now engaged in this case, and yet we've been reporting that we have missing people. You remember the issue of Rivayala.
Right.
There were missing people there. I think we need to now re-engage and come up with a strategy how we can have a record and a way of following up on some of these missing person cases.
And Wakili, if you look at the statement from the Cabinet Secretary for Interior Affairs, that is Professor Kithure Kindiki, he says that enough security